Welcome to the Milan Edit 2026, and today I'm in conversation with Marius Myking of Snøhetta. Marius is an amazing personality. Back here, I was just having a chat with him about his childhood and how tennis has also helped him shape who he is today. We were just talking about how tennis brings focus and persistence also sort of hones your skills. Snøhetta is known for building large-scale spaces and whatever you all do, whether even if it's a small installation, your precision and the idea of integrating architecture with nature is very, very, very dynamically interwoven. Could you tell me something about that?
Well, to us, the context of any project is the driver, and aiming for identifying that context is the beginning of every project. In architecture, that means that what context it's meant for, the use, the intended use, the location, and in landscape and interior is such an important driver for the project. When we're doing a product, however, then we need to define that concept somehow differently. For us, every project begins with what we call strategic alignment. And through that process, we identify the context, which in our case is who are we working with, what are their ambitions, and how can we come together to create something that uniquely we can only do together.
Correct. There's another thing that I personally love when I'm entering the space, when the space reveals itself very slowly and it's not in your face. And sometimes you see that with a lot of work around you. You also consciously have decided to let your work be slow. How do you intend the end user to feel?
I mean, there's a lot of power in restraint, and restraint is not doing less. It's trying to get to the essence of a design. Especially also when we are doing products, we find that by having that restraint in the product, we can get to the essence of the idea. And that in turn can also allow for an architect or interior architect to utilize that as their own creative tool to enhance the space that they're creating, instead of having something that is overpowering it. And again, that comes back to the context. Yes. Are we doing this for one single time, or are we doing this to be possibly scalable? And something that can live over a very long time and be used in very many different ways.
Various ways. There's one project that I was just looking into. It's a restaurant in Hong Kong, and y'all have based it on the winter-summer solstice. I think that was just the whole concept was so mind-blowing. And the project also looks very calming, very meditative. Could you tell me something about that?
Personally, I have not worked on that project. But there's a very strong link in everything we do to nature and power of meditation in nature. These moments of reflection, and we often find that that can be translated into very meaningful moments, both in interior and in architecture, as well as in products.
Lovely. And materiality also plays an extremely important role in what you create. How do you balance that out? And like you said, restraint. Just knowing that this material has done enough for my design. How do you create that balance?
That is a constant dialogue, and we're never trying to take something away. We're trying to give room for the core idea. When you have 7 ideas competing with each other, it's very, very hard to understand what the intention is about.
Yeah.
So by taking away the less necessary, it's more a celebration of the core value that we want to get forward.
And normally, how long does it take you to arrive to the final conclusion of the product?
I mean, it depends a lot, but a product in itself is just a small part of the process that we go through. So So in all our collaborations within all of our disciplines, what we really emphasize the most and spend the most time on is the collective process we go through. Gaining understanding from our architects, from our colleagues, from interior architects, landscape, to understand if we're on the right track, to get input from elsewhere, and setting basically a process that we can design rather than a final object in itself.
Wow. So, like, again, a link to your game, like tennis. The process is what you enjoy most, the journey of actually reaching the product.
The, the product is a result of the process. What we can always improve and focus on evolving is literally designing the process. It's how to get to the result we want.
Yeah. And could you tell me something about the lovely work that I see in front of me?
Yeah, so this is a very good example of it. It's our the first proper product collaboration with Via Bitsuno. And this didn't start with a design. It started with the idea that we know that that lighting is predictable. That's why it's used to measure the distances, light speed. It's used in chemistry. It's used in research in all meaningful ways. So what if we can design light itself rather than the shape that contains it? And in this project, we worked with an amazing team. As we tend to do, we try to reach what are the resources and unique capabilities of our collaborators. Where do we want to go and how do we want to tell that story? Here we're working with lighting engineers and technicians that could help us transform this into tangible design that basically turns the light through its curve, and we can control exactly how the light is redistributed out. So the light itself becomes the form.
Yeah, because I can see that it's so the transparency of the glass, and you just have that. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely spectacular, and the bunch of it's looking so beautiful.
Well, thank you. I think you can see it maybe
Even the wall
better on
scones, yeah.
the new wall version. And what is actually happening here, it's not visible to our eye, but the light only breaks the surface when it breaches 41 degrees. And what happens is that with a prism in here, we've created a vortex of light that shoots it in a radiant that goes over the curve and redistributes it only when we allow it to break at the edge.
And that's
So
the
then you
beauty
get
of it, because you don't see that happening. You only see the...
No, and that goes to the purity of the material, which has up to a 97% transmittable effect in this one, which is very high.
Gorgeous. So, during Milan Design, everybody's just rushing from point A to B, and there is this absolute busyness and chaos. And I'm just touching back to the same point that I made earlier.
Yeah.
That everything is a spectacle.
Yeah.
How have you consciously decided in your firm, and even with the kind of work that you do, you step back and you don't allow that to bother you?
I don't know. I mean, if it's consciously, but it's for us, when we are always focused on this this process and defining how we can get to meaningful results. There's a difference between spectacle. The spectacle can be used in a good way, but what we're trying to do is to have strong narratives that is emotionally understandable and aim for the memorability almost more than something that is in your face. And we think that when you can get down to the essence of these human emotions, that's something that you can remember physically and emotionally.
And is there a message for a young designer who is going to start out? What would you advise them to look out for, or during their time of hustle, what
Yeah.
is it that they should avoid doing?
It's very tough to advise any young designers today, but it's and that path can be in so many different ways. But understanding that really there's so much focus today on what is perceived as the end result, but in
Right.
reality, the entire business, as in most businesses, it's about people. Work with people you enjoy working with, do things together, and I think you'll be a much happier designer at the end of your career.
And you create beautiful things.
That's usually a very good side effect of it.
Yes, usually. Thank you so much, Marius. It was such fun talking to you,
Thank you.
and pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.